Have you ever wondered what makes each human being unique, yet fundamentally similar? The answer lies in our DNA. DNA, or deoxyribonucleic acid, is an extraordinary molecule that stores all the information necessary for the growth, development, function, and reproduction of every living organism. It's essentially the instruction manual of life, carrying the genetic code that determines everything from our eye color to our susceptibility to certain diseases. Imagine a twisted ladder or a spiral staircase. That's what DNA looks like. This design is called a double helix, and it's what allows DNA to do its job so efficiently. The steps of this ladder are made up of pairs of molecules called nucleotides, and it's the sequence of these nucleotides that carries the genetic code. Now let's zoom in on these nucleotides. Each one contains three components: a sugar molecule, a phosphate group, and one of four types of nitrogen bases. These bases are adenine, thymine, cytosine, and guanine, often abbreviated as A, T, C, and G. A always pairs with T, and C always pairs with G, forming the rungs of our DNA ladder. This might sound complicated, but the concept is rather simple. Just like letters of the alphabet form words and sentences, these base pairs form the language of life, spelling out the instructions for building every part of an organism. Imagine billions of these letters arranged in a unique sequence. That's your DNA. It's a blueprint, a guidebook, a map, all rolled into one. And here's something truly mind-blowing. If we were to uncoil the DNA in just one cell of your body and stretch it out, it would be about 2 meters long. Now, multiply that by the estimated 37 trillion cells in the human body, and you'll begin to grasp the incredible complexity and vastness of this genetic code. So, DNA is no less than a marvel of nature, a complex code that defines who we are. Now, you may be wondering how this genetic code is read and interpreted. That's where genes come into play. Imagine you're reading a captivating novel. This book is your DNA, and the chapters of this book are your genes. Each chapter, or gene, carries a unique story, a set of instructions that guides the development, functioning, growth, and reproduction of cells. Let's dive a little deeper into how these genes work. Picture each gene as a recipe in a cookbook. Now, these aren't your regular old recipes. These are instructions for making proteins, the building blocks of your body. They determine everything from your hair color to your height, and even your susceptibility to certain diseases. For instance, one gene might carry the recipe for brown hair, while another carries the recipe for blue eyes. These genes, or recipes, are passed down from our parents, which is why we often resemble them in many ways. But it's not just about physical appearance. Genes also play a significant role in our health, influencing how our bodies respond to different environmental factors like diet and exercise. It's fascinating, isn't it? But here's the real kicker. We're all made up of the same basic ingredients. In fact, humans share 99.9% of their genetic code. The tiny fraction that's unique to each of us is what makes us individuals. It's the reason why no two people are exactly alike, except for identical twins, of course. However, don't forget that our genes are not our destiny. They merely set the stage. Our lifestyle, our environment, and even our choices can influence how these genes are expressed. So, you see, our genes are more than just a blueprint. They are a dynamic and interactive part of us that responds to our world. They are the authors of our unique biological narrative, shaping who we are and what we become. In essence, genes are the words written in the DNA language that tell our bodies how to function. But how do these traits get passed on from one generation to the next? The answer lies in the magic of heredity. Dive into the world of biology, and you'll find that heredity is a process as fascinating as it is complex. It's the mechanism that ensures the continuity of life, passing on the genetic code from parents to offspring. Imagine for a moment 2 strands of DNA, each a helix spiraling in sync with the other. During reproduction, these strands separate, each becoming a template for the creation of a new partner strand. This is the basis of DNA replication. A perfect copy of the parent DNA is made, ensuring the transmission of genetic information. Now let's zoom out a bit and think about where this DNA resides. The answer: chromosomes. These are compact, tightly wound structures within the cells of our body, each carrying a large number of genes. Humans typically have 46 chromosomes, 23 from each parent. When egg and sperm cells are formed in the human body, a process called meiosis occurs. During meiosis, the number of chromosomes is halved, resulting in cells with only 23 chromosomes. When an egg and a sperm cell unite during fertilization, the 46 chromosomes are restored, half from the mother and half from the father, combining to form a unique new individual. But here's where it gets even more interesting. While the number of chromosomes is the same in every individual, the specific combination of genes on those chromosomes can vary widely. This is due to a process called recombination, which shuffles the genes on the chromosomes during meiosis. It's this shuffling that makes each of us unique, with a mix of traits from both our parents. So, when you look in the mirror and see your mother's eyes or your father's smile, remember it's the power of heredity at work. The intricate dance of DNA replication, the careful packaging into chromosomes, the shuffling of genes during recombination. All of these processes work together to pass traits from one generation to the next, creating the wonderful diversity of life we see around us. Heredity is the process that ensures the continuity of life, passing on the genetic code from parents to offspring. So, how do we study this complex world of DNA, genes, and heredity? Welcome to the field of genetics. Genetics, a branch of biology, is the science of heredity. It's the study of genes, genetic variation, and heredity in living organisms. It's a fascinating field that seeks to understand the blueprint of life, the genetic code that makes us who we are. Now, why is this important, you might wonder? Well, genetics plays a massive role in understanding the intricate dance of life. It helps us understand how traits are passed from parents to offspring, how diseases are inherited, and how species evolve over time. This understanding has far-reaching implications, from medical advancements to conservation efforts. Consider this: certain diseases, like cystic fibrosis and Huntington's disease, are caused by specific genetic mutations. Understanding these mutations can lead to potential treatments or even cures. That's the power of genetics in medicine. It can provide insights into the causes of diseases, identifying genetic predispositions, and lay the groundwork for personalized medicine. But genetics isn't just about humans and diseases. It's also about understanding the rich tapestry of life on our planet. By studying the genetic makeup of different species, we can trace their evolutionary history, understand their adaptations, and protect biodiversity. Take the case of the cheetah, for instance. Genetic studies have shown that cheetahs have very little genetic diversity. This makes them more vulnerable to diseases and less adaptable to environmental changes. Such knowledge can inform conservation strategies, helping us protect these magnificent creatures from extinction. And let's not forget the role of genetics in agriculture. By understanding the genes that control traits like yield and disease resistance in crops, we can breed more productive and resilient varieties, contributing to food security. In essence, the science of genetics is a powerful tool, one that can help us understand, protect, and improve life on Earth. From medical breakthroughs to conservation efforts, from understanding evolution to improving agriculture, genetics is at the heart of it all. Genetics is the key that helps us unlock the mysteries of life, health, and evolution. So we've journeyed through the world of DNA and genetics, but what are the key takeaways here? Well, let's start with DNA, the blueprint of life. The DNA is like the master architect, holding the complete plan for the creation and functioning of an organism. It's a long, twisted ladder, a double helix made up of 4 chemical bases: adenine, thymine, guanine, and cytosine. This structure is more than just beautiful, it's phenomenally effective, allowing DNA to store an incredible amount of information in a tiny space. Then we have genes, the interpreters of the DNA blueprint. Genes are sections of DNA that hold the instructions for building proteins, the workhorses of the cell. They're like the construction team following the architect's plan, translating the DNA blueprint into the structures and functions that make up an organism. Next comes heredity, the process of passing on this blueprint from one generation to the next. In the grand symphony of life, heredity is the conductor. ensuring that the music written in our genes is played out in our traits. Our eye color, height, even our susceptibility to certain diseases. All these are orchestrated by the hereditary process, which faithfully transmits the DNA blueprint from parents to offspring. Finally, we have genetics, the science that studies it all. Genetics is like the detective, piecing together the intricate puzzle of life. It explores how traits are inherited, how genetic variation arises, and how genes interact with each other and with the environment. It's a fascinating field, providing deep insights into the nature of life itself. From the blueprint of DNA to the interpretation of genes, from the transmission of heredity to the study of genetics, we've seen how these components interplay to create the miracle of life. Each piece is integral, forming a complex, beautiful mosaic that shapes who we are and what we become. From determining our traits to influencing our health, DNA and genetics are indeed the basic building blocks of life.